Hello there ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another one of my live videos, and today I'm just going to be officially updating you guys on some more current LA2. So I would appreciate, before I get into the main part of this video, smash that like button. I would appreciate it. Or if you do consider subscribe, or do put your comments below. So today we are going to be discussing about Manchester United, as we always do, and we're going to be discussing things about currently what Jose Mourinho has been saying media, for the last couple of days. So potentially what's being said is that Mourinho, I think, came out in the yesterday. We know he's had a lot of the disputes with the players as well. Potentially he had said to Paul Pogba, that he's killing the mentality of his teammates. He said this behind closed doors after the Southampton game. He also said to Paul Pogba he lacks respect for the players and also the supporters. Did Jose Mourinho? Jose Mourinho called him a virus, but Mourinho had come out in the press, I think it was yesterday, and reportedly he had admitted the top four ambitions were very, very unlikely. Reportedly came out, he said Manchester United need almost a miracle to achieve top four, because obviously Mourinho said quite a few weeks ago, he was confident we was going to get the top four, because obviously we had winnable games, up until the Christmas period, and now all of a sudden we're winless in 3 games. Drew with Palace, we drew with Southampton at the weekend. Mourinho had currently changed his perspective, but reportedly Mourinho did say yesterday, he mentioned about Matic and Scott McTominay that they can't play in defence. Obviously, they're playing in defence against Southampton because, as we all know, we've got a lot of injuries and we've got a lot of problems defensively, as we all currently know. But now, reportedly, Mourinho's admitted that we shouldn't be in 7th. Obviously, the matter that's been that's been spent into the club, as we all know. This is 3rd season now at Manchester United, but reportedly now he has done it again. He has currently changed his perspective yet again, but reportedly now in the media, Jose Mourinho is clarifying and he's coming out saying that what he said yesterday, meaning that Manchester United almost need a miracle to finish in the top 4, he's now saying, he's changed it around and he's now saying he didn't mean what he said, so potentially he still may be confident that we can potentially get the top 4, and potentially he said a couple of weeks ago Man United can get back into the top 4, and he was confident that we was going to get back into the top 4 by the end of the current year. So Mourinho's changed his perspective, in the press in the last couple of days. We know his relationship with Pogba's getting worse. Pogba's also, disputed him for his tactics and his team selection, and a lot of people have had to say about his current team selection and his tactics. Jose Mourinho's, as we all know that. Currently right, but reportedly he's going to get around hundreds of millions of pounds spent in January. Mourinho has basically put cold water cold water on it, so potentially he's not convinced Mourinho that we will sign any top signings or get any Galactico players. Mourinho, and potentially thinks we'll only get like one player in the January window, but obviously the position we're in now, the footing, and I don't think any top class player would want to join Manchester United at the moment, as we all currently. I'm probably going to get millions spent in January, but I think, I'm surprised we've given Jose Mourinho, this a long period of time at Manchester United, as I said, because obviously he hasn't met the expectation levels. I think if there's any chance of Mourinho keeping his job at Manchester United, we've got to get top 4 this season, got to get Champions League for next season, or his job is currently under threat, as we all currently know. And obviously he's the favoured next to be sacked, as I said, because obviously Zlatan Jonkovic got sacked from Fulham early on the season. Mark Hughes got sacked on Monday. We'll be going into more detail on that on this current video, and I'm going to have a talk with you about that as well. As I said, so potentially Mourinho's spent just under £400 million on 11 players. He's obviously sanctioned 14 players off, as we all currently know. But potentially he's known for criticising players. He seems to be, when he comes out in the media, seems to be talking about what he's won and what he's achieved and his potential overall history as Jose Mourinho. This is what Mourinho's been potentially talking about his history a lot, and we know that he's very, very arrogant, as we all currently know, and we know we're lacking goals this season, so he's looking for a strong central defender. He's looking for an attacker as well as Jose Mourinho, as we all know, but we do desperately need points, as I currently said in the current process. But as I said, he hasn't met the expectation levels. As I said, the objective was for Mourinho to get us back being competitive, get us back to winning major honours, and he's failed to materialise this. I'm afraid we know he's been a winner in the past to Jose Mourinho, but he just hasn't done it. Manchester United, and we know we spent like £1 billion. In all the managerial eras, since Ferguson left, so a lot of money's been put into the club, but it's a mediocre team that is not potentially playing for Mourinho. Obviously, You know, Mourinho's got a good relationship with Lukaku. He's got a good relationship, you know, with Luke Shaw. We know he didn't have a good relationship with Luke Shaw last season. That's why Luke Shaw hardly played last season because, you know, they potentially had disputes, as we all currently know. But I think the board and the owners need to focus on getting the right man with a winning mentality. A manager that, you know, has got the stature to command us in that position. We know certainly Mourinho and potentially I think he will be the next start. And definitely if we don't win tomorrow night against Arsenal, we have got a lot of injury problems, you know, going into that game tomorrow. As I currently said. Potentially, it has confirmed as well. It says Lukaku could be a doubt, and so too could Luke Shaw. It was a debate whether Luke Shaw was going to start or not. We know obviously Ashley Young's suspended. He's been when Mourinho's obviously been playing him. He's been playing at that right back position. Lukaku hasn't found his form this season. I had concerns when he first came to the club. I know that he's proven well in the Premier League and he scored loads of goals, but his first touch. He's a big game bottler. He has no pit. He has no tempo or out to his game. So I did have concerns. Like I had concerns when Matic first came to the club. Nemanja Matic. I had concerns about Nemanja Matic as well. You know, I know he has a good relationship with Mourinho. A lot of Manchester United fans want to see Nemanja Matic dropped, but Mourinho hasn't dropped Nemanja Matic yet. But I want to see Nemanja Matic dropped, and I did have concerns when he came. I thought it was a good signing, you know, but we could have potentially got someone better than Nemanja Matic because obviously Nemanja Matic and Fellaini's midfield isn't very good because they're both tall. They don't have any tempo to the play. They're very static in that midfield, the pair of them. So potentially, yeah, and we're at least 2 or 3 years off the league as we all currently know, and a lot of money's been spent since Ferguson retired. Players have come in, some have performed well, you know, some of them haven't, and you know, it just basically hasn't worked out. Mourinho's, you know, won 3 honours in his first season. I did credit him for that, you know, but he hasn't won any major honours, you know, here, like Champions League or Premier Leagues here. Didn't win out last season. We finished 19 points behind City last season. Second, or was it 20 behind City last season? But there's a difference this season. This is the worst season I've known Manchester United have for years and years and years. Ultimately, seventh in December with 8 points behind top four, as I said, and it could even get worse if we do lose tomorrow to Arsenal. As I said, with 16 points behind Manchester City. So potentially, I wouldn't trust Mourinho with his money in January. He admits we shouldn't be in seventh. He says it'll take a miracle for Man United, a nearly miracle for Man United to get in the top four. He reportedly said to a Brazilian journalist yesterday, "We need to win points, try to achieve, and almost." And he said something like he said almost a miracle for fourth place. This is not Mourinho. I think he said it to a Brazilian journalist or something like that. But you know, there's Giggs who's been back in Mourinho. There's pundits out there saying Manchester United need to sack Mourinho, try and recommend the right man in to come into the club. We know that Zinedine Zidane has been mentioned in the press. You know, well proven. He's never, you know, He's never played as a player in the Premier League. He's never managed in the Premier League, so he's no experience of managing or playing in the Premier League. But obviously, as he's been managerless since May, his son confirmed he's going to be back in management soon. Is Zinedine Zidane, and he's won honours. You know, he did it with Real Madrid. You know, he did it with Real Madrid in his playing career, Juventus in his playing career, and all that. So he has got a decent pedigree behind him. Reportedly, he's been in talks with his representatives about coming to managing English football, Zinedine Zidane. But Bayern Munich have reportedly been interested in him as well. Bayern Munich, because obviously I don't think they're satisfied with their current manager at the current moment. But a bit of team is going into tomorrow. Yes, we know Ashley Young suspended for the game. We know it's going to be a very difficult game. Arsenal look so much better under Unai Emery. As I said, the good news is Xhaka's suspended. From my perspective, that's good news. Xhaka's suspended. Ozil, I think he's a doubt. Is Ozil? I think he's had a back injury, but I don't actually can guarantee if he's going to be fully out. I'm not too sure, but he has suffered a back injury. I think he said Monreal were injured. Obviously, they've got Danny Welbeck out for this season, but they're in great form this season. Obviously, they've got players that have aging up. You know, they've lost a lot of the best players over the years. In recent seasons, they haven't had a great record against the top 6 sides of Arsenal, as we all currently know. But, you know, they had, you know, 22 years out of Arsene Wenger, 11 or 12 years out of that 22. You know, he did very well. He won a lot of honours, you know, with Arsenal. And then, it just went downhill since then. Arsenal, went years and years without winning a trophy under the Arsene Wenger era. Was it they went from like 2005, was it to like 20, was it to like 2013, 14 or something like that, until they won a trophy. So they did go a lot of years without winning a trophy, and then that's essentially when Arsenal, Arsenal wanted Arsene Wenger out. But since, potentially, since Mourinho's coming and look a different side, they look a lot better. They're playing really, really well. They've got good players in that team. I still don't think they're potential title contenders. It's only Mourinho's first season. I still think that he needs at least 2 transfer windows to bolster that squad up more and potentially make Arsenal title contenders. But he's a good manager, Mourinho. They're like nearly 20 games unbeaten in all competitions, as we all know. So they're going to come in this game full of confidence, at Arsenal, and I think they're going to win the game, to be because we have not performed at all this season. Manchester United, as I said, only seem to perform when we desperately need to. Manchester United are clueless how to start a game, especially now with Mourinho this season. Potentially, though, with Mourinho this season, we just don't know how to start a game of football, as it were proven against Southampton. But to be quite honest with you, we do actually, even though we do seem to raise his game against big opposition sometimes, to be quite honest with you, especially against Arsenal, we seem to always raise it against them, as I said, because obviously we did the double of them last year, Emirates 3-1. We recently had a good record at the Emirates before. I think we lost there once, was it twice in 2 seasons? As I said, and this is going to be the first meeting between Jose Mourinho and Mourinho since 2013 as well. So it's going to be a great game. So we know that obviously Sanchez is not going to get that reunion against his old team. I think Alexis Sanchez is going to leave Manchester United anywhere. He was a great player at Arsenal, in my opinion. Everyone has different points, but he's good underneath, he's good at Barca, good. In his 4 or 5 years with Arsene Wenger was Alexis Sanchez, but he's on $500,000 a week, and potentially he isn't delivering the goods at Manchester United, so we definitely need an attacker up there. Lukaku isn't doing much. He hadn't scored in like 12, 13 games, obviously till he scored at the weekend. It was Rashford who saved Mourinho and the team, because it was Rashford that produced 2 pieces of brilliance, because obviously he got 2 of the assists for 2 of the goals, and we got back into the game in that Southampton game in the last 15, 20 minutes at the first half. Of the first half, as he currently said. But Sanchez, I think, is keen on the move to Paris Saint-Germain. He's been here nearly a year now, as I said, as Sanchez. So I think he'll go out in January or next summer, because he just isn't fitting right in the Manchester United agenda. He isn't getting along with a lot of the teammates here, as I said. I think he's unhappy under Mourinho, especially with his managerial style. I think Mourinho's style of play is absolutely atrocious as well. It's totally different. Our football's boring, Manchester City's football's world class, because Pep Guardiola's got a good pedigree, with Bayern Munich and Barcelona, and he's won so much silverware. He's broken records, won about 24 trophies. He's 25 in his career, and he's spent a lot of money. And Manchester City are an absolutely fantastic side to watch. Don't get me wrong. So potentially our football is absolutely atrocious. Manchester United, as we all know, you can't compare Mourinho at all now to Pep Guardiola. I know Mourinho's had his success over the years, but you can't even compare Mourinho to Pep Guardiola, as I said. But you can't just blame it all on the manager, as I said. It's a mixture. You can blame it on the players. You can blame it on the players. You can blame it on the manager. You can blame it on the board and the owners. So it's a mixture, really, though, isn't it, as I currently said. And we know... We know, obviously, Sanchez has never actually won a Premier League trophy, as we all know. And potentially at this moment, Mourinho will it. He's not going to do it here, especially whilst Mourinho's manager, as we all know. So he's out until January, because Mourinho confirmed he's going to be out for a long time anyway. Potentially, Lindelof, we know he's out till mid this month, so he's going to be definitely missing the game tomorrow night. It's a shame, because, as I said, Lindelof's really improved this season for Manchester United. To be all fair play to him, he's done well. Mourinho's been mainly going with Lindelof and Smalling. Potentially, I don't know what we're going to do defensively Wednesday, because obviously Lindelof's out. Darmian, I think, is going to be out. He says Luke Shaw's a doubt as well, potentially. I don't know if Bailey and Smalling are going to be fully fit for tomorrow night. More things will update. I think Bailey will go anywhere, because he isn't even getting in the team this season. He hasn't played since Newcastle, has he? Earlier on in the season, Bailey, as I said, I think was that Jose Mourinho's first signing, as he currently said. So we have got a lot of problems in the squad, and Arsenal have got you've got good players in their team. I love Aubameyang. He's one of the potential signs I'd have loved at Manchester United. He's so much better than Lukaku. He's done well since coming to the Premier League. He scores goals, leads the lines well with Lacazette, and he given a name for himself when he was at Borussia Dortmund. Aubameyang, he's good. He's a good number 9. Lukaku for us, there's a difference. Aubameyang's so much better than Lukaku. I know Lukaku's more proven in the Premier League. He's got more experience in the Premier League, but obviously, he hasn't got much tempo to his play. As I said, he's static, and potentially Lukaku hasn't done it this season. His first season, he was good with Man United. I'll give him all the benefit of the doubt. I like Lacazette as well because he had a good pedigree with Lyon, and I'm a big fan of Lacazette as well. And Arsenal have been playing really good football this season, so they have been exciting to watch. And as I said, they're gonna, if they showed that intensity that they have done in the last 19, 20 games in all competitions, especially as they did against Tottenham at the weekend, we're gonna get absolutely ripped apart. Even though we haven't lost to them since 2006 at Old Trafford in the league, as I said, but we've got a good record against Arsenal, as we all currently know. As I said. So it is going to be a big game, as I currently said. And as I said, Manchester United have got a lot of players coming to the end of the deals. With the David De Gea situation, as I do keep saying, he has yet to sign this new deal. Man United, we one good thing is we reportedly activated a clause to extend his current contract till 2020. I think reportedly De Gea may demand that he wants to become the highest earner at the club, and De Gea may demand that he wants around the similar wages to what Sanchez is currently receiving at the club for Manchester United to persuade David De Gea to stay at the club and sign a new deal. I hope he does sign a new deal because he's been really good for us. Since he's come since 2011. Highly experienced in Spain. As a youngster as well. Obviously, when he was in his younger prime. Potentially David De Gea is potentially the best goalkeeper in the world. We know potentially Juventus have been linked to him. Paris Saint-Germain have been linked to him. He said Paris Saint-Germain willing to offer him 60 million, a 4 deal, and £300,000 a week. But obviously, the amount of money they're investing in last was it last year, something like that, on like an Mbappe and Neymar. Obviously they're under financial fair play regulations of Paris Saint-Germain, as we all know, but potentially Man United may have to pay at least £300,000 a week to keep De Gea at the club. But I think De Gea did say he was happy at the club. Mourinho come out the other week and said he was confident De Gea was going to sign the new deal now. But he said before that he wasn't too confident he was going to secure the new deal. I think what De Gea's perspective is on this situation, he wants to know whether Mourinho's still going to be in charge of Man United. He wants Man United to make a decision on it, what's going on at the club, and then I think David De Gea is then going to make his decision whether he's going to sign a new deal or not. But we know George Mendes has been in potential discussions with Juventus, which is currently David De Gea's representatives. David De Gea has won Club's Player of the Year 4 out of 5 seasons. As we all know, he's made over 2 century appearances, for the club since he's been here. But potentially, Man United have identified the number one choice replacement. Man United have Manchester United have identified, which is Jordan Pickford from Everton. Reportedly, Man United, if David De Gea doesn't sign a new deal and he does leave the club next summer, reportedly Man United are prepared to pay up to £70 million for Jordan Pickford, which would potentially make him the most expensive keeper, or one of the most expensive keepers if this deal was to materialise. I think Man United will prepare negotiation with Everton over this if David De Gea does leave next summer, and obviously he doesn't secure a new deal. But Jordan Pickford's a great goalkeeper. Very good. In the World Cup in the World Cup with England. He's been very good at Everton since he's been there since like 2017. Everton paid £30 million for him from Sunderland. He'd also been at a catalogue of teams on loan as well. He's obviously won Everton's Player of the Season, Everton Young Player of the Season, Everton Player of the Season as well. And Jordan Pickford, in the last year or so, him and De Gea have made the same amount of saves. So Jordan Pickford is a great goalkeeper. what I've heard him. I know for England in the World Cup he were very, very good as well. I know he's on the contract with Everton until 2024, so he has got a 6-year contract term with Everton as well. But he's potentially our number one choice to replace De Gea if De Gea leaves. This is only if De Gea does leave and he doesn't sign a new deal. But I hope David De Gea does sign a new deal at Manchester United, because I really, really do highly rate him as well. I know Real Madrid, had been linked to him for a long time, but obviously Real Madrid, didn't get him in 2015. It looks like he was going to go to Madrid, but he didn't go to Madrid in 2015 as well. Potentially, we know Jordo Blanc being mentioned as well, another potential goalkeeper. He's been mentioned. He's rightly got an 87 million buyout clause. He's under contract with Atletico Madrid 2021. Reportedly signed for Benfica at the age of 17, where he'd risen up the ranks. Potentially was there 4 years, won the domestic treble, and then he went to Atletico Madrid, and Atletico Madrid paid around £16 million for him. He's been very, very good, reportedly, for Atletico Madrid since he's been there, since 2014, as Jordo Blanc. This is his 5th season now. He's made over a century appearances in all competitions, I think, something like that, for Atletico Madrid. But he's potentially being mentioned on our agenda, but he isn't potentially the number one. If David De Gea leaves, it's Jordan Pickford, according to what the press said as well. Potentially, yeah, as it has been coming out in the media, as well as we've been hearing the news about Raphael Varane and Koulibaly. Reportedly, Man United had agreed personal terms with Raphael Varane the other day. Actually said in the press, Man United had come to an agreement on personal terms for Raphael Varane. It did say it could cost Man United in the region of like over 75, 80 million pound for the player, which would potentially make him the most expensive defender in the world if he was to come. He is in his prime. He has won a lot, because he is a young player. He has won a lot, to say he's still in his prime. He's 24, 25 years of age, Raphael Varane. Potentially, the most expensive defender at the moment is Liverpool's 75 million Virgil van Dijk. But as I said, but potentially Raphael Varane, he's been at Real Madrid since like 2011, so he's been there like 8-9 years. He's won 15 honours. He's made over 2 century appearances in the last 2 World Cups. His performances have been very, very good as well. Raphael Varane's, and obviously he's obviously worked with Jose Mourinho in the past as Raphael Varane, potentially. And Raphael Varane, obviously risen up the ranks with Lens fantastically well. He was there for about 8 years, so wasn't he? Made his senior debut in 2011 for them, and then obviously went to Real Madrid, did Raphael Varane. But reportedly Man United, it said, had agreed personal terms. We know Koulibaly keeps getting mentioned in the press, as we all currently know. Reportedly, Man United had put around an £80-90 million bid in for him the other day. That's what he's rated at, around £89 million. Reportedly, the Napoli president had instantly turned this offer down I think it was £89-90 million. He's under contract to 2023. He's reportedly highly experienced, with Napoli. As the player's been at Genk and Metz in the past as well. He can play as centre-back, full-back, and a defensive midfielder as well. Koulibaly, and he's supposed to be a very, very good defender of what I've heard of him. So potentially, reportedly he's rated at around 89 million. Obviously, Napoli only paid £7 million for him from Genk back in 2014, I think that was. So they got him from next to no. So they would make a huge profit on this, would Napoli, if they were willing to do any business. But he's been on Manchester United's agenda, as we all know. Toby Alderweireld's been on Manchester United's agenda. Mourinho discussed the other day how ruthless Tottenham are, over their best players and all that. He says he actually regarded that Tottenham, don't potentially sell the best players, because they have got a lot of good talent in there of Tottenham Hotspur. But Toby Alderweireld's been mentioned quite a few times, as we all currently know. Toby Alderweireld's been mentioned quite a few times. Man United are aware, because Man United were in discussions during the course of last summer. Man United were linked to him. Mourinho, whilst he was monitoring and, watching him in action, he was very, very impressed with his performances. Reportedly, Man United did say a couple of weeks or so ago, I updated you, Man United were preparing to go for him in January and offer him a cut price deal. Man United are aware that he does have a over 25 million release clause for next summer to Toby Alderweireld. He's proven in the Premier League. He's been Premier League now 4 or 5 years. He obviously was at Southampton at one point as well. And before when he was younger, he obviously played. Obviously he was up the ranks of Ajax. I think he won 3 titles with Ajax. 3 Eredivisie titles. Then he went to Atletico Madrid. He was good with Atletico Madrid. He won the title them in his first season there. He got to the Champions League final in his first season with Atletico Madrid as well. Di Toby Alderweireld. But yeah, he's a good player, Toby Alderweireld. He's Premier League proven. Obviously had experience of being in Spain and Dutch as well as Toby Alderweireld, but he's been a potential Manchester United target. But there has been rumours going on that he could potentially leave Tottenham Hotspur, Toby Alderweireld. But do you think he'd complement our defence well? Because we do need a strong centre half, to obviously, we need to strengthen up in defence because we know the issues in that defence, and obviously them issues need addressing, as we all know. Potentially Diego Gordon's getting mentioned in the press. Potentially, I think he's in his 30s now. I think he is. I think he's out of his prime now. He's got a 20 million release clause, reportedly. Obviously, Atletico Madrid want to secure Diego Gordon a new deal. I don't know much about the player. I know he's highly, highly experienced in Spain. He's been in Spain is it 10 years or something now he's been in Spain, Diego Gordon. Something like that, but he's won 7 honours. He's Villarreal from 2007 to 2010. Atletico Madrid now. I think he's been at Atletico Madrid now is it 19 year or something like that, Diego Gordon. So he's been potential on Manchester United's agenda as well. We know Harry Maguire has been on Man United's agenda. He's obviously got a new long-term deal with Leicester. So too, Jerome Boateng's been mentioned. Nikola Milkovic got mentioned in the press the other week as well. He's a Florentina player. He's been there since 2017. I think he's an ex-Partizans Belgrade player. Reportedly, he's rated at around 50 million. He can play as a centre-back and a full-back. I don't know much about the players quite fair. I think he's under contract with them to 2022-2023 as well, is the current player. So Man United are linked with a lot of players, but from Mourinho's perspective, he's not convinced that potentially Man United will get any top signings in January because obviously with what's happening at the club. But as I said, I knew it'd go downhill when Fergie retired. We had 3 decades success with Fergie, won so many trophies. And, people say you've got to sometimes give managers time, because obviously Fergie didn't win out in his first 4 years at the club, as we all know. Potentially, David Moyes only had a short tenure. Obviously Ferguson recommended him because they were both Scottish, but I knew it'd go downhill because David Moyes never had a good pedigree of, in terms of winning silverware, but he did well with Everton. He was there 9 or 10 years. He only had a short time with Man United. He only had 9 months, potentially. Potentially should we basically give him another season because obviously Mourinho is different because obviously Mourinho's obviously won silver where he's been. David Moyes hasn't, and he's a bad manager, Moyes. But obviously Mourinho has not proven it here at this club, and he's potentially doing worse this season than Moyes did in currently 9 months. So you can see the difference there. But who would you like to see coming in January? But obviously Mourinho's come out and he's basically, in the last 2 days, he's changed his perspective on things. He said in the press yesterday, I actually read some of the article and what had been said about Mourinho. He basically said, Man United almost need a miracle for top 4. And he actually said this to a Brazilian journalist as well. The United stand had their say about it. And obviously, he only said a couple of weeks ago he was fully confident that we was going to get in the top 4 by the new year. I don't think we're going to get in the top 4 or by the new year, and the way it's going, I don't think we're going to get the top 4. I don't think we're going to get top 4 this season. But all of a sudden today, I've just read Mourinho's changing perspective, saying I didn't mean what I said about Man United needing miracles finishing the top 4. He says he didn't mean what he said, so now all of a sudden he thinks we can get into the top 4 by the end of the new year. So basically Mourinho's changed his current perspective on things, as I said. But like I said, this season, it's our worst season I've known as having in years. You know, we didn't even have this bad a start under David Moyes. We didn't even have this bad a start under Louis van Gaal. But obviously, obviously they didn't get 3 years at Manchester United. You know, Moyes got 9 months, I think. Louis van Gaal was it 1.5 year, 2 year? He lasted at the club. Louis van Gaal. He had a good pedigree with Bayern Munich, but he didn't have the correct philosophy at Manchester United. Mourinho hasn't got the correct philosophy at Manchester United. I think he's nowhere near on the same levels at this moment as we're speaking. He's nowhere near on the same levels as Unai Emery now at Arsenal, Pep Guardiola at City, Klopp at Liverpool. Mourinho is nowhere near on the same level as them as being Manchester United manager. You know, historically he's very very good. Mourinho, he's done very very well at the other teams he's been at, but at United, he has not done it. In his first season, I praised him. It was only his first season, I thought, give him another season, see if he can make us compete, challenge for major honours. And he did get a second place. We got to the FA Cup final, but we didn't get the FA Cup. And this season, it's getting worse and worse and worse. And he has had disputes with the top players. He does get on with quite a few of the players as well, but I'm unhappy with his overall style of play. As I said, and potentially, we keep hearing the news about Ivan Perisic. What is he? Rated at last season, last summer, Man United were in discussions with him to potentially get him. Man United had a few bids turned down. Inter Milan demanded £48 million. Man United were reluctant to pay that because obviously we know Inter Milan are under financial fair play regulations. They can't officially sign players till next summer, as we all know anyway. They can agree to buy players in January. Inter Milan have obviously got a new director, Beppe Marotta, as we all know. Inter Milan, from his perspective, they're looking to offload a couple of their players to invest some money into the club to avoid financial fair play sanctions, of course. And Ivan Perisic is a good two-footed player, good in the air. He can put balls into the box, as I said, can Ivan Perisic, and his versatility is good. He can play as second striker, can play as winner, can play as an attacking midfielder as well. Can Ivan Perisic, and he was one of our priority targets, and he would be a good replacement for Alexis Sanchez. Potentially would Ivan Perisic, because he's proved himself well for Inter Milan. He hasn't been to his potential best this season. Became the first Croatian player to score in a World Cup final. He made 100 appearances, scored a hat-trick as well. He scored his first hat-trick for Inter Milan. I can't remember when it was, but he did. And potentially, it come out in the press, it was quite a few weeks ago now, that they'd reduced it to £31 million that Inter Milan were demanding for Ivan Perisic. I don't think he's potentially world class. Proven him, he's never played in the Premier League. He said he dreams of actually coming to play in the Premier League, and it would be good to see how he would, combine himself in the Premier League and play amongst different players. It'd be interesting to see, how he would play, but. Potentially, I don't think we'll get him anywhere, Ivan Perisic. I just think it's rumours, as I said. But potentially with the Paul Pogba, the news, what Mourinho said about respect for he's lacking respect for the players. Mourinho tried saying his behaviour, his attitude is in affecting the team. This is what Mourinho said just behind closed doors to Paul Pogba, and they do have disputes, and potentially Mourinho may want to sanction him off because obviously the disputes are having. Mourinho's still frustrated by him. Pogba's obviously now criticised his current tactics like a lot of other people have done. If he is to go, I think he will potentially make a return back to Juventus, Paul Pogba, because he hasn't proven himself in the Premier League. Obviously left in 2012, Pogba, because obviously he wasn't getting any game time under Ferguson. He had 4 or 5 good years. He grew and developed. He had 4 or 5 good years under Juventus, won honours with them, and proved himself well in Italy. And we paid 89 million 16, and since he hasn't really established himself well. He's got huge talent because he's proven what he's done in the past and that, but he does have the odd good game here and there for Manchester United, but potentially I just don't think he's the English candidate, to be quite honest with you. Paul Pogba, and I think if he does leave, as he confirmed, he told friends he wanted to potentially make a return back to Juventus. He wanted to make a return to Juventus, and he told the Juventus players he wanted to make a return back to Juventus. So potentially, if he is to leave, I think he will go back to Juventus. I know we heard the rumour mill about Inter Milan. We're supposedly offering a players plus cash deal of 200 million plus two of their players. We know that's not going to happen because we know Inter Milan can't potentially afford that amount of money anyway, because obviously they're under financial fair play regulations, as we all currently know in the current process. So it's going to be interesting. It's Wednesday night tomorrow. It's the game. As I said, will Paul Pogba start? Because obviously Jose Mourinho's frustrated with him. Pogba's not frustrated with Mourinho. And I think he's wrong for publicly criticising players. Mourinho, it's just Mourinho's opinion, isn't it? If he's got something to say, he'll just say it. As I said, we don't want Mourinho. The majority of Manchester United fans don't want him at the club anymore, because it's going to get worse and worse and worse, in my opinion. As I said, and we could be in a worse position than we're in currently now. As I said, so I think the board and the Manchester United club itself need to recommend the right man who can turn us around, get us back competitive and challenging for major honours. We know we're never going to get as manager. We're never going to get as manager. We're never going to get a manager of comparable of Fergie. We're never going to get a manager like Fergie, and that's what we've got to accept in reality. But we are a big club. Historically, we are fantastic. We're the best team in English football historically with our success we've had. And I'm surprised the board and the owners have put up with this nonsense up until now, with Jose Mourinho. I'm surprised they've put up with it. I really, really am surprised put it, because, the fear factor's not Old Trafford anymore. Under Fergie, teams always feared coming to Old Trafford. It was hard for teams to come to Old Trafford and win. There was that fear factor there, and Fergie just knew how to win games at our club. But now, any team is confident playing Manchester United. They feel as though they can win. Any team can come to Old Trafford with confidence, feel as though they can win. As it happened when more teams were coming to Old Trafford and beating us. A few times with Van Gaal, teams were coming and beating us at Old Trafford. Now it's happened. It's happened on. It's happened under Jose Mourinho as well. Teams have beaten us at Old Trafford, and we've lost to teams away from home, and that that we shouldn't potentially be losing to. So. Potentially, yeah. So I'm gonna do another live video soon. As I said at the start of the video, about the sacking of Mark Hughes, and reportedly they're gonna appoint a new manager called Ralph Hassan Hutt or something like that. We'll be doing that on a separate video. So if any Southampton fans want to tune in and watch that video, please do that. As I said at the start of the video, please smash that like button. As I said, I would really appreciate it. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel if you do consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless, guys, and I'll see you all again very soon.